but we'll see if we do this one. But I have a couple others in the queue. Okay. All right. Perfect. Let's start smart with technology. I'm going to come in from a couple different lenses. Obviously, our group today, we're all faculty members, so that's good. We're going to look at it from an advisee role, from an advisor role, from a faculty role, from a staff role, a couple of different conversations and things to kind of chat about. Mainly not only focusing on you starting smart, but certainly as you work with your students and they're getting underway. Obviously, if you have some of the upperclassmen, you're perfectly fine. But if you're working with some of those freshman groups, or you're advising in a freshman group, or if you're working with new transfer students or the new ABSN group, things like that, we have a couple different new cohorts joining us where certainly we can be assistants of that. Okay, so let's start at our main kind of Widener landing place, which is my Widener. We should all be familiar with this. This has come a very long way over the last 18 months and continues to grow. Just some things to highlight, obviously, from a faculty standpoint and also communicating with your students, that this can talk to everything that they already have. So, for example, you can see on my screen, the very first tile is looking at the classes I'm in. Right. So given this is looking at spring 2020, but this would be loaded for their fall courses of 26. Right. So those students that are, I just need a better view of my classes. I don't know where to get to it. I want to be able to just see it in a list. Perfect. Here's a list. It's looking at your Canvas enrollment. It's working off of student planning. That's right there. You'll notice that that is one of the tiles within my Weiner that does not have the ribbon in the top right. It's locked. Okay. So it's always going to be there for the students. All right. There's no, I didn't know. I got rid of that one. That one's going to stay there for them. Anything else that they might be particularly interested in, not only from a student perspective, but obviously if you're an employee at Widener from a payroll perspective, or if you're working and you're getting support in different places at Widener from a technology perspective, use that ribbon in the top right there to be able to keep that view right in front of you. They also utilize a top five. This is going to be rolling depending on what you're using most frequently in your space. So same thing for your students as well. And then another great feature, which I really like here, is the My Links. That gives you the ability to put any link that you want on the My Widener page, right? So here in My Links, I'm just clicking the three dots in this space, and you can move it around any of these. But if you're ready to do a new one, you can just do add new link at the bottom. And this allows me to put any URL that I want, right? So those of us that are using DePoint heavily or using ExamSoft heavily, things like that, just another place to bookmark a page, right? We can obviously point to our regular browser bookmarks or creating a folder up top for ourselves and starring, but some of that stuff can get really cluttered really quickly, right? So certainly as you're working with some of those underclassmen or those of you that might be using a particular resource very heavy, that's a place where you can instruct and be like, okay, we have it on our Canvas page, but let's put it right here on My Links to start. So right when you sign into Widener, My Widener, you're going to have that link right in front of you. The two other things I want to highlight in this place are our two main landing places, both from a faculty perspective and from a student perspective. You'll notice that I have a double linked here because our nursing office exists inside of school and colleges' offices on my Widener. I also put nursing office inside of My Links. So if your students are looking for nursing office and they just type in nursing within their find, you're going to get that school and college offices kind of icon there, okay, or tile. So just be on the lookout for that. But that is our main landing page or our main resource for students is our nursing office. So let's spend a little bit of time there here for a second. Anything that they might need recording wise, clinical information wise, job opportunities, tutoring services, curriculum guides, information about Castle Branch or our new ABSN, our students are working in Exact. We'll continue to populate some of that information. But this is kind of that one-stop shop for all the students, right? If I click on this to start, well, I didn't know who to reach out to. I didn't know their email. I don't know who they are. We put all of this right in front of them, right? So not only on top of your own contact information and your syllabi and our stuff within our resources on Canvas, you have all of this stuff inside of nursing office as well. So a really good place to kind of just send the students, right? It's, well, what are you looking for? It's over here on the student side. Okay. On the back end of that, we also have our main hitter as a faculty, right? So let me come out of here. This one is not searchable on my Widener. So that's why I just put it inside of my links. And you'll see here, if I just type in my links, I have my link to my SON. Now here, your SON group, again, it takes a little bit of a deep breath to kind of wrap your head around everything that happens in Office 365. But SON is a group inside of Office 365. So there's a couple different ways that you can get to a group. Here, I just have it linked inside of my links. So I'm just able to click on that hot link and get to it. Okay. If you're working inside of your email, you can also come down to go to groups at the bottom of your Outlook. And then in this space, you'll find SON. Okay. Now, this will take you to, let me click on SON here on the left. This will take you to your SON inbox. Okay. If you're here on the site, you don't see this inbox portion because you're here in Outlook, you see the inbox portion. But anytime someone sends an email out to SON, it will populate not only in your personal inbox because you're part of this 52 member group, it will also populate in this overall inbox of SON. So you can always find some of those emails. If you can do a quick delete or something's out of the way or anything like that, you'll find that within your space. Now, not only do you get the features of the email in here, you can also navigate over to files and get a quick hitter of, take a look real quick. Here's your files within this space. This is the same exact thing as going to your SON group and clicking on documents. Okay, so you're getting to the same exact page. You're just either going in the front door or going in the back door. So if you're quickly looking for a syllabi, you're quickly looking for your scholarship activity form, whatever that is, you can either come here to your SON group, or you can be in here within Outlook and click on your files within that space. Okay. You also have events. So anything that's being populated on the calendar, like you are here right now within this SON PD Start Smart. Okay. Everything else that's coming up that's been sent to the SON group will also populate on this calendar. You'll notice that we have our teaching and learning roundtables and our sharing the light ceremonies and our full faculty meetings and things like that. One of the things we are going to be tasked with in the fall is populating this calendar with more SON events. So we do a pretty good job of doing some of those events that are a lot of us, but just for the fact of having more of our committee meetings or different events for different ABSN groups, things like that, so that we have a more catch-all of all of these things that might be going on around us. You'll see those start to populate here in that SON calendar. Okay. Now, if I'm here in Outlook and I want to get onto the site, I can come all the way over to the right and just click on my green site icon. Okay, when I click on my green site icon, that's going to open this same exact page where I was and I clicked on the hot link in my links. Okay, so you can get to it in a couple different ways. It's going to show you a little bit of an overlap of information depending on how you're navigating to it. But you just want to be conscious of you're working in a private group. Most of these things are shared. So just be mindful as you're working in there or submitting things, moving things around. Okay. Let's spend a little bit of time here on the SON site because we have some things that are be very useful for you, both in a faculty role and an advisor role, committee roles, all of those things, depending on what shoes you're wearing for what semester. But you'll notice here on this front page, we have kind of our quick hits in this rolling marquee. We have our SON faculty handbook, our syllabi and course reports, our minutes and reports. All of those things are also duplicates from the left-hand side. So we just took some of those things that are most important to us and put them on the front. You can click on them there. We also have another opportunity to see all these events that are coming up. Again, here you are at 1 o'clock. Say you got really happy and you accidentally did not accept an event or you hit delete or whatever that is. They do have a sync calendar right here up at the top. You can click this and it will take everything that's on the SON calendar and send it over to your personal calendar. You can decide if you're going to them or not, but that gives you the ability to have everything that would be populated here also populated on your personal. Okay, and we're going to spend a little bit of time on calendar here in a little bit. Okay. Another quick hitter is our testing information. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. We are testing, testing, testing all the time. But obviously, everything you would need there as far as kind of guidance and forms and calendars and all that stuff is also there. One of the big pieces we also get a lot of questions on is some of the documentation that goes along with RPT. So not only can you navigate through this stuff inside of the faculty handbook, but we took those pieces from the faculty handbook and put the quick links right on the front page. We know there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to that packet, and we do get a couple inquiries usually every year based on, hey, where do I find this or how do I do that? So when Karen May took over the chair of that committee, that was one of the requests of her that we have that stuff up front. So again, we're always listening. We're always trying to find ways to make it better. So as you're in places, chairs and committees, you're working on something, you're submitting something, whatever that is, it seems a little clunky. You can't find it. It's missing. It's not titled right. Whatever that is, please reach out so that we can correct those things or put them in a more meaningful place for you, whatever that might be. Okay. Now, again, we spend a little bit of time talking about your items within the Outlook because I can get to documents, but these are just those other pages here. So I can navigate to faculty handbook. I can navigate to old syllabi and course reports. I can look at my governance and my committees and all of those things. You can tell that these resources are very widely used. Like here, I'm on my homepage, and I can tell that I've had we don't get my statistics at the bottom of that one. Let's go to our instructional technology page. We'll try it there. I probably put too many widgets on that one. That was my fault. So if I come down here to my bottom, oh, here I can see 485 views on our instructional technology page. Same thing, you could talk about that nursing office and how often are students coming here looking for information. We'll let this populate. Last time I looked, this was a pretty good number here. 17,428 views on this page, right? So we know our students are coming here. We know students are using this for a resource. So we just want to be conscious of that. And again, if your students are looking for something, they're having trouble finding something, they can always navigate to that site. Okay. Let me jump back here to SON because I am on my instructional technology page. Just want to bring your attention to some of those commonly used resources as far as PowerPoint backgrounds, Lippincott sign-ins, Zoom resources, all of those things. Excuse me. We also have all of our social media links. For those of you that might be looking for old professional development sessions that have been recorded and sent out, your link to our YouTube channel is there. Keeping in mind that if in that session we were looking at something with student information, it might not be on the public side. So you might need to reach out and request that specific URL. But similarly, all of your um, all of your emails that would come out with that stuff would be right here inside of your SON group. So I could come here in my SON group and look for recording available. And here you'll get all of those pieces where I've sent out recording available, deep dive into Copilot, recording available, Canvas, new quizzes, recording available, getting started in Canvas, recording available, ExamSoft Enterprise. So all of those emails that have been sent out, even though you might have gotten rid of them in your inbox, or even for some of our newer faculty members, it might not have ever even been in your inbox because you weren't part of that group yet. You can always come here to that SON group and search any of that to find these things. Here I'm back to 2019. Here's a Tech Talk summary from 2020. So you can find things from years, all the way back, all those recordings we've already done. Okay. And any other resource you might be looking for within that space. So just know that that stuff is there. Okay. Obviously that only goes as far back as Office 365. So if you were with us before we became an Office 365 campus, and we were not using this for email, we might have been using email inside of Campus Cruiser. For those of us who might have been at the time where we had a semester where we had 2 email addresses, remember how fun that was? No longer the case, right? Where we got one, we're all in the same place, but it does have that cap on it. You're not going to be able to find something from 20 years ago, but you'd be able to find something from 8 years ago, somewhere around there when we switched over to that place. Okay. So just be conscious of that. Okay, great. I was here inside of my instructional technology resources, identifying our different resources and our different things to follow. You also have a quick link here for your website. Knowing that if you have a new publication or a new picture or something you want to add a quote to add or a new about me or anything like that, I do have a quick form here for you to fill out in that space. I also take those requests over email. Usually, the only time I'll push you back to the form is if you're giving me like 12 things on the profile to change. But if you're like, hey, I just need to change this real quick, or I had a new publication this summer, that's fine. Just email it to me and I'll add it to your profile. So just be conscious of that as you're kind of making your way through. And then, of course, you have your testing resources down here at the bottom. Know that your links as a faculty member are also there. And then if you needed to supply something for students when it comes to testing, you can just navigate back to your nursing office. And then in their technology information, they have their links that they need to access for all of your ExamSoft products. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Also, a great place to get some of the other outside things as far as software, buying a new computer. I have all that stuff on the student pages there, so you can navigate over to that space. Okay, I'm going to pause there real quick. I'm about 20 minutes in. Anything burning on the two groups we looked at, SON or nursing office? All right, perfect. I'm going to jump over to Outlook, do a little spiel in email, look at calendar, and then we'll spend some time over in Canvas and some things we can do there. Okay. All right, let me go here to my Widener and know that I'm going to be accessing my email. And there's obviously a couple different ways that we can do that. You can certainly type in Outlook here. You'll see that it comes up in my top 5, or it's also inside of Microsoft Tools. You might have the hot link up in your bar. Remember, I'm here in a browser, right? You also might be coming down to your start menu and just opening Outlook on your computer. All of those ways are perfectly fine to get Outlook. Okay. I'm normally an Outlook on my computer fan just because it gives me everything in one spot. It gives me a couple of different features that I like as far as organization that I don't necessarily get on the web, but to each his own. Okay. So you can get there on the web or you can get there with the application on your computer. If you're working with us the first time and you're using a Widener computer, your Widener computer comes with all of your Office 365 applications. So you have Outlook, you have PowerPoint, you have Excel, you have Word. Okay, all of those things are already on your computer. If for some reason you have a personal device and you want to use those, chances are they're probably already on your computer. If you bought new, they're just going to say, hey, want to sign up for a new license? We'll gladly charge you $79.99 a year. And then you turn your back and you say, no, I have a Widener email address. So you can just go up to the top there, click sign in, type in your Widener email address. You should get your Widener sign on screen, authenticate your password, and you'll be able to access all of those applications on your computer. Okay. If for some reason you don't have the applications on your computer, and this is the caveat for all of our Mac users, and we know that some of us are that way in the building, but a lot of our students are that way. A lot of our new students, especially our freshmen coming in here in fall of 26, are going to come to you with brand new Macs. Okay. And they might have Word on their computer, they might have PowerPoint on their computer, but chances are they only have the Apple applications on their computer. So instead of Word, they have Pages, right? And instead of Excel, they have Sheets. And instead of PowerPoint, they have Show or something like that. I forget the name of it, but you get the drift, right? It's like their competitor, right? But here, because the majority of our faculty do work on PCs, and if you're asking them to submit something, we certainly prefer those things to be submitted to us in Office 365 applications. So we need a .doc, not a .pages, things like that. So in that case, they can come in to our regular Outlook version, click on their 9 dots, and use all of these things on a web version. Okay, they can use Word on the web, they can use PowerPoint on the web. They don't need to download the application on their computer to still submit that. And we've had those conversations over the past couple of years. Well, I don't have that on my computer. This is the only way I can submit. This is what I'm used to using. We're not a Google campus. We're not an Apple campus. We are an Office 365 campus. Okay. So these are the tools that we recommend that you utilize. And that's really the message that just needs to be said to your students on that first day when you're setting expectations for learning and for submissions. Um, Undoubtedly, I will receive an email in the middle of October with a Pages document attached. And it's like, I can't open this. I don't even know what to do with this. And, someone submitted something in Pages. We can always go back and vice versa. But for there, it's a learning moment because even if they're submitting and doing their work on Pages, they can always do file save as and save it as a doc. So even if they're not working in Word, they can still save it with the right extension so that you can open it, right? So there's always learning opportunities there. And thankfully, because Office 365 is a very widely adopted productivity kind of suite, there's videos and how-tos and college guides and everything you would ever need resource-wise. So if anybody ever needs help, Google it or reach out to your friendly learning design and technology support specialist, and he will be glad to help you. Okay. So let's spend a little bit of time here in Outlook. I'm just going to come right up to my mail. Um, just some things to be conscious of. In my Widener, they do have a quick hitter that will give you your mail right on the front of my Widener. So you can see your last 6 messages right on this page if you click sign in. Now, not only can you see it, but anyone else who can see your screen can see it too, right? So be conscious of that. If you're a heavy screen sharer or you're constantly bringing up your things in front of students, not necessarily what students need to see. So even though they have this quick hitter here, I would just be conscious of authorizing that permission within that space. I would keep your email in its own tab just because a lot of student issues or colleague issues, committee things would come through there. And that's for your eyes as that person, not necessarily the entire groups. Okay. Here in Outlook, a couple places I want to highlight. We talked about the apps a little bit, right? So if they don't have that on their computer, they can always click on their face up top, click view account. And then within this space, some of this stuff takes a little bit of time. You can always come down here to my apps, and download these things directly on their computer. Okay, so not only are you on the web version, but now, okay, I bought a new Mac. I'm ready to have Word on my computer. Great, come in here, download Word. You ready to have Outlook on your computer for your email? Great, come in here and download Outlook. We know that students kind of do their own thing, but again, as you're working with some of our advisees, and especially those that might be struggling with organizing or keeping things together or just staying on task, a lot of these things are in this place to kind of help them with that productivity side. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. The other place I want to highlight inside of here before we jump into an actual inbox is your settings up top, and that's your signature. Okay, and your signature is that piece that goes at the bottom of your email, your name, where your office is, probably your Zoom address, which I would certainly encourage you to put, maybe your bookings link if you schedule meetings that way, whatever that is. And as you click on your settings, you would think, oh, I'm going to set up my email signature. I want to be on mail. And Office 365 says, no, it's not in mail. It's up here in account. So make sure you navigate up to account in this space. And then on the left-hand side, your second menu, we can click on signatures. And then in this space, you can see your Outlook web signature. For those of you that might be wearing a couple different hats, I know that some of us might have a job at a different practice or a hospital and everything's inside of Outlook. You can obviously create a different signature in here. And when you're composing your email, you can choose to have your CHOP signature at the bottom instead of your Widener signature, or choose to have your Jeff signature at the bottom instead of your Widener signature, whatever you're doing there. So you do have the ability to kind of put double in that space. For me, I do have another inbox. My NLN job does work with Outlook too, but holy geez, I can't keep those two things together. So I open a whole nother browser and I just have that in a different place. That just works better for my head. I know that other people's like to have everything in one spot. I need those separated. I just got too many moving pieces going on. So you can always open another browser, another incognito browser, or in this case, I might use Firefox for one thing and Chrome for another. And then that way you just have both of those things floating, but just kind of keep that in mind. You can come in here and change any of this information, make it bigger, change the color, all of those things. Some of us have our NLN Center for Excellence icon down at the bottom, or you might have your bookings link, things like that. Know that you do have a quick click here to include your bookings link, and that will put this icon or this image down at the bottom. I didn't really like the image. I just wanted the link text. So I just unclicked and just made a hot link for make some time to chat. If for some reason you're looking up for more information on bookings, we did have a professional development, I believe last fall. It was either last fall or the previous spring, on bookings, how to be successful in there, how to set up appointments, all of that stuff. Excuse me. And I'm happy to work with you on a personal basis, if that's something you want to work with to be successful there. But we'll spend a little bit of time here talking about bookings in a second when we get into calendar. Okay. The one thing I wanted to highlight here is your Zoom address. This is particular to you. Some of us are familiar with maybe your Zoom personal meeting ID. You can always come to widener.zoom.us here and click sign in. This is one of our features that uses a single sign-on. So just like Canvas, student planning, all of those things, you're able to come in and it just uses your same Widener username and password. Not the same for ExamSoft, right? We have our different username and password there. At this point, not the same for The Point. You have your own username and password there. But so there are some services particular to the School of Nursing where you might have a different login, but the majority of products that are fed through the university are going to be in a single sign-on system. Okay. So in this space, you come here to your profile. Even though this is a single sign-on, it does not feed your Office 365 information. So you can come in, put in a picture, put in a title, all of those things, whatever you would like to have there. I would encourage you to put a picture because you'll notice here that if you stop your video, whatever your picture of comes up as you. So if it's just a gray silhouette, it's just going to be your name, right? So here in this case, if you put a picture there, we want to make sure that then that way, when you stop that video, you get a picture of your face on the other side there, not just your name. Just helpful in other meetings. You can come down here about halfway. Here's your meeting. Here's that 9 digits that is always given to you in this space. Is it 9? Nah, it's 10. Here's the 10 digits that are given to you in this space, but here's your personal link that you can always customize to this. I just have A Boble as my own. You can come here to the right and click customize and change that to your own name. That is particular to Widener. So I've had that conversation with people like Jamie's here. Great example. There's a lot of Smiths in the world, right? And there's a lot of J Smiths, I'm sure, right? But J Smith would be particular to Widener. So as long as no one else at Widener has J Smith, she can use it. It's not particular to the entire Zoom community. So of course you can put your username there. We have some people that put professor in their name. We have some people who put doctor in their name. It's really whatever you want to do. It makes it really easy for your users to join your meetings because as a user inside of Zoom, when I open my Zoom client, I can just click on join and type in whatever the end of that URL is. So right now, instead of clicking on my calendar link, you could have just come to join and typed in A Boble and you would be here. I never use a different meeting ID. I never schedule meetings. I always use A Boble. So anytime anybody ever has to meet with me, you can just click on join and be A Boble. Okay. It's the same thing for yours. So when your students are, hey, I got to pop into office hours, or you're doing remediation and you say, I'm available for these 2 hours, pop in whenever. Well, where's the calendar invite? No, you're in your Zoom room. So they just open their Zoom client, they click join, they type in the end of your Zoom address, and boom, they're in there. Okay. So that's the reason I kind of encourage the not only having it as an easy one for your students to remember, but including that at the bottom of your email signature as well. Because some of those things are quick hitters. It's, hey, I can't figure this out in student planning, or hey, I have a really quick question. Can we hop on Zoom real quick? Don't go schedule the meeting, do 50 million steps, send them an invite, all that stuff. Just have them click on the link at the bottom, because they are much more likely to contact you next time instead of waiting for all of those things to take place, right? You were right there. literally help in an instance, right? And we're not always available for that, but when we can do it, that's a great thing. Okay, so just be kind of keep that in mind in that space and doing your signature. Again, a little bit weird. We went to account and then signatures. It's not here in mail. It's over in signatures. You can always work with your automatic replies and things in that space. We did have some great trainings in the past on Office 365 and looking at email and all of these other tools that are available for you. So you can certainly look for that inside of your YouTube channel. Okay. Any questions on email real quick before I jump over to calendar? Pretty straightforward. We've been in here for a while. Again, Office 365 is very widely used. Just be conscious when you are looking at guides because you have both the web version and the application version. Use that within your Google search. So Outlook on the web, how to, or Outlook application, how to, because those menus look different, where things are placed are different. So you'll click on something and you're like, this, my screen doesn't look like this. I don't know what this is. And you might just be in a different place. Or if you're clicking on something that might not necessarily be from Microsoft, maybe like, for instance, ours, we looked at bookings 2 years ago. I shared my screen. Some of the things on the booking pages are going to look different. So look at those dates of some of those resources. If something's more than, a year or two old, chances are those menus change, the icons have changed, things are always developing. And you guys know that in the technology world, right? Okay, perfect. Let me jump out of here on email. All right, perfect. I'm just checking my list, make sure I don't miss any of these quick items and over to calendar. All right, calendar. We in the Dwyer School of Nursing highly recommend that you use your Office 365 calendar, not only for your use of staying organized, but to set a great example for your students in staying organized and to help all the people who are trying to schedule meetings with you be able to schedule meetings successfully with you. Okay. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on calendar because you all know how to create an event. What I want to kind of spend a little bit of time on is working with others to create events. Okay. So you'll see here within my space, here's my calendar. You're seeing it. You might have different calendars on the left-hand side. Maybe you're sharing calendars with other people, or you have collaborative calendars. Like I have the testing calendars in here, whatever that might be. But know that you can certainly navigate to some of those other spaces. Okay. The majority of the time, not only are we working with ourselves, but we might be working with others in this space. So we're inviting people to events. So let's take a look at that. At the minimum, I would recommend you to put your classes and the courses that you're teaching on your calendar so that people can't schedule events when you're teaching or people can't schedule a meeting with you when you're teaching. At the maximum, you use your calendar for everything. That's me. I use my calendar for everything. So then that way, if someone says, oh, I thought you were available, now everything I do is on my calendar. Literally, if my daughter's getting a haircut, I put it on my calendar. Right. When it's my wife's doctor's appointment, I put it on my calendar because not only will I not be available, but the chances are I have to be with the kids at that point. So I can't be available for Widener at that point either. So depending on what other moving parts you have in your life, I would populate that calendar to its utmost ability to make you productive within your position. Okay. I'm here on a calendar invite. I'm just going to call this calendar invite test. And I'm going to invite Donna to this. And I'm going to invite Jawanza to this. Now, I defaulted for this calendar invite to be here today at 2:00 in 20 minutes. Both Donna and Jawanza are available, and I can see that within my screen. It's telling me that they're available. It's telling me they're available. So I should be able to schedule this. Now, if people on the other end are not using their calendar, they're available all the time. And we know that that's not the case, right? So this is why we say as a school of nursing, it's really helpful when everyone is kind of on the same page and using the resource the same, okay? But let's pretend that that's not necessarily the case. And we need to find a time where both myself, Donna and Jawanza are going to be available. You have two tools that are at your disposal for this function. And especially those of us that are organizing committee meetings or working with work groups, or maybe you're working on a research project with others, you have both scheduler and I got to get off the hover here and meeting poll. There we go, scheduling poll. So let's work with scheduler first. Okay. Scheduler will produce another window and it will show you the people who you've already invited and when they might be available. Now, notice, even though Donna is not available in these places, I don't know what Donna's doing. Okay. This is one of the caveats where people are like, I don't want to use Outlook email. I don't want people to know when I have a dentist appointment. I don't need people to know that I'm leaving early on a Friday to go to a picnic up at Kalahari. Like, yo, you do you. I don't know what you're doing. Okay. So here in these spaces, unless you literally go to your calendar and you type in that person's name to share their calendar with you, like for example, over here on my left-hand side, you see Rose's calendar. That's because Rose went to her calendar permissions and at one point actually shared her entire calendar with me. That worked because that was the working relationship that we had. In this case, I only see blocks where you're not available. So I know I can't schedule here. I know I can't schedule here. What's really nice is that it is using some AI function. It's giving you some suggestions. It's showing you these places where you'll all be available. Maybe I know 4 o'clock's going to be a little bit too late. So I'm going to go to a whole different day. Right here, I see Wednesday. Hardly anybody's available. Thursday, Donna's available, but it's at 8 o'clock in the morning. She's probably going to be driving to the SON retreat. So that's not where I'm going to put my meeting, right? So I can kind of make my way through some of these things and finding a spot maybe next week. Maybe. Here we go. Here we go, guys. We can meet here. Tuesday at 3:30, three of us are available. Now, because I clicked here on my scheduler, it's going to make this meeting time for that time I just clicked. That Tuesday, 8:25 at 3:30 from 3:30 to 4 o'clock, everyone's available in that space. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. I can come down here because I always use my Zoom. When I click in there, it sees it as a suggestion. Okay. You might, for the first couple times, have to paste your Zoom address there, but because it always sees that there, I can click there. I have no idea. And this comes up every time. Why it wants me to meet in United Arab Emirates, I'm not sure why that's there. But certainly Lehigh Valley Honda makes sense. I was just there last week for the car. So it's kind of looking at some of those places you were just at. Spent a lot of time in Monica's room these days, working on the virtual resource room for our accreditation. So it's kind of looking at those places where you spend a lot of time to populate this list. So you can grab your Zoom address in that space, or if you prefer Teams, you can just toggle on Teams and it will create a Teams meeting for you. Now, let's say I'm working with a little bit of a larger group. All right. So instead of just picking that date of 3:30 to 4 o'clock, I want to give them options. And this is your poll. Okay. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You're saying, okay. And again, AI works great. It's seeing these three instances where all three of us are available. And it will send these three instances of both Jawanza and Donna. They can pick the ones they want. And then as soon as the system sees that we've all picked something, it will schedule the meeting for you. You don't even have to double back. It will say Jawanza chose this, Donna chose this, you're available on this, and the meeting invite will be scheduled. Okay. Now
Wait a minute,
you can always
again, Andrew. Wait a minute.
go ahead, Jawanza.
Can you do that again with the poll thing for
Yeah,
me?
for sure. I was just here on the regular invite. And then here within your space where you can just click and choose a date. Instead of that, I'm just coming over to this icon here, which is just scheduling poll. And this looks at the people that are already invited and places it's suggesting times that are already available. Okay. So you can always come in and add other options. And again, it's picking other places. Oh, couldn't find any times. Let's try again. Yeah. So in that case, I think it's looking at our poll end date. So sometimes you just have to work with it a little bit and see if we could get some other ones here. Yeah, for some reason it's not seeing our other ones again. Hey, anything with the web, sometimes you got to go out and come back in, and that might be the case here, right? So just kind of keep that in mind as you're working your through. So here you have both the poll and the scheduler. two really great features within this space. I highly recommend anytime you're sending a event for the School of Nursing or a meeting with someone, it's sent in this manner. Because the same way that you were able to get this email and click on accept at the top of the email, it goes right to your Outlook calendar. As opposed to me sending you a generic email and telling you this event is happening on 8/27 at 1 o'clock. I'm now depending on you going to your Outlook calendar and creating that event and putting in my Zoom address and putting in the title and adding all of the details. You're making a whole lot of work for other people. So, especially those of us who are running committees, those of us who maybe are running dissertation committees, those of us who might be part of university committees, if you're scheduling things, send it as a calendar invite. Okay. So, for me, a lot of times if I don't hit accept, I'll at least hit tentative so that it still populates on my calendar. If you hit delete, it goes away. Or if you hit ignore, not accept, it will go into your delete column in your Outlook. Okay. You can always get back to it by going to the SON group or navigating through your delete stuff. But at least if you hit tentative, it will actually populate on your calendar. You'll see that here. Let's discard. Mm-mm-mm. Here, I'm tentative. VRR check-in, you'll see it kind of comes up with more of a dashed than it does a whole. So these things here, I'm tentative. You can see these were just sent by Monica this morning. I can click on that invite and I can click accept, and that will now change on my calendar to a whole and hold, and that sends a notification to Monica that I'm coming, right? Similarly, if you are scheduling and someone's not coming, I had Kathy King come in right before the meeting today and say she wasn't coming to this, which is perfectly fine. But I also get a notification that they declined that event. Okay. So as an organizer, when you send things out through Outlook, you get the ability to do some tracking there as well. Great for students, great for committees, all of those pieces. Questions on calendar before we spend the last 10 minutes or so here in Canvas?
Yeah, Andrew, just
Yeah.
a point to make, because again, you showed it with mine. And I usually do this, and I have to do it to my calendar, is my drive time. Like I can't meet if I'm driving. So I have to go in and make sure that I'm, blocking in my drive times in and out
That's
of.
a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, samesies. There's like
Yeah.
there's like that hour and a half where I'm like, I can talk on
Yeah.
the phone if you want to talk, but I can't meet with you on the computer or share my screen or anything like that. So
Right.
you're right. That's a good thing to keep conscious of. And same thing, you're out on vacation, you're at a conference or something, put that stuff in as out of office so that people can't schedule on those days. Or, when we're doing schedule assistant, it's completely blocked off and you're not able to kind of be present at that time. That's a good point there, Donna. All right, perfect. Let's jump over to Canvas. I'm back at my Widener. From a student side, I can just type in Canvas. I'll get a couple different things. And especially working with your advisees and kind of keeping track of everything, you get a quick hitter class schedule. Okay, this is looking at when your classes are scheduled in Colleague, right? So as a student, if I come over here and I click on the following Monday when we actually start the semester, will it let me get there? There we go. Ugh, I went too far. If I click on that 24th when I actually start, they'll be able to see what classes they have on Monday, right? Then they click on Tuesday, they're able to see what classes they have on Tuesday. So this will give them a quick view into when those particular courses are scheduled. Now, given something might change or something might be online or something like that, that's looking at your colleagues' scheduling. So if you're Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 9:30, the colleague doesn't know that you might be at a conference in late September at NLN in Washington, D.C. So it might still show up as classes there. You need to communicate with your students for that particular situation, but they can get that. They will also get a quick hitter of just their classes in a linear view, which will allow them to just click on that section and will bring them into Canvas. Okay. I don't have a student course listed here, but know that they have that there on the student side as they're populated within that space. Okay, let's jump over here to Canvas. Canvas, the most widely adopted learning management system within North America. So again, very Google friendly. Everybody and their brother is using Canvas. Why? Because it's the best thing out there. Okay. You'll hear D2L, you'll hear Blackboard, all of those things. They're good. They ain't Canvas. Okay. So a couple different things that are great inside of here. And let's try and go over some of those here within this space. Just want to start here in account up at the top, just because, again, this is a place that is not fed through any other information. So if you want to put a picture in here, you want to put some of your biography information. Again, I just took my email signature and I just copied it in this place so that if my student clicks on my face in my advising class, not only do they get my face, they also get my Zoom address, right? So they can get right there within that space and be able to use that. This is another place where maybe you have a lot of resources or something that you're using particularly heavy within your courses. You can have another place where you provide those links for your students, right? So just another place where some of that information might be. I also like to bring you here because this is a great place to get a quick jump to your course evals. We're used to getting summaries with an email, or you'll get the little gray summary at the bottom of your course itself. But a lot of us might be working on RPT and need to get back to evals from previous years or previous semesters. You can always come here with an account on Canvas and you'll get a quick course evaluations link. This will bring up your watermark profile inside of another window. We get these questions every semester. Some of us are in different schools. You'll see that for some reason I'm in the School of Business Management. I don't know why. I've never had a role in the School of Business Management. I've never taken a class in the School of Business Management. It might be because I worked with a colleague way back when they became the admin in this system. They were in business management. So maybe I adopted a semi role there. But you might be dropping into other places, especially if you're teaching in other programs. Or a while back, our freshman seminar was part of the provost office. It wasn't part of nursing. So you might have the provost office up at the top. Just come up here to switch account and grab your nursing within this space. Okay. Because I was a student inside of the College of Health and Human Services in the education program, I get that. Because I was within the freshman seminar in the provost office, I get that. And then undergraduate extended learning, because heck, we're always learning. You get a link to that. But the majority of us, you just kind of need to be within this nursing space. And you'll get all your results from previous semesters within this space. If you are a coordinator or an admin within the system, you might be able to come up here with an instructor and change your role so you can see some of those different views. But forever and always, if you need anything in evals, just reach out. I can always get everything from the back end. I've helped a couple of you with that before. You can literally just give me the course and the semester and I can go grab what you need in a folder. So don't get yourself in a fluster of looking things. You have a list and you need 12 different things. Great. I'll get them in a batch report and I'll send you the zip folder. So that stuff is always there for us. I can always grab that for you. Okay. Let me come out of account, spend a little bit of time on the left-hand side, knowing that I'm going to say this loud and clear. Your calendar and your inbox are not your calendar and your inbox from Office 365 that we just spent time on. This is calendar inside of Canvas. This is inbox inside of Canvas. Two totally different places. Okay, the calendar is mainly for your student side so that they can see their courses, they can see their assignments. As long as the to-do dates are on the assignments, not only will they populate here in the to-do and the coming up, they will also populate within the calendar on Canvas. So again, you're working with one of those freshman students. They're having trouble keeping track of everything, don't know when things are due, having trouble staying organized. Great place to start is that Canvas calendar. Okay, they can come in here within this space and see everything in one foul swoop and be able to see it all, copy it in their planner, maybe put it on top of their whiteboard in their dorm room, whatever they're using to stay organized, but another place where all of that stuff is fed through the system. Now, we can speak to our School of Nursing, but we can't speak to our other colleagues across campus. They might not always be using to-do dates and Canvas assignments. So if you're struggling, someone's struggling in chemistry and we're pointing them towards resources of, hey, did you look at the due dates in Canvas? Well, maybe that person in chemistry isn't necessarily using it to the best of their ability. Okay, so just kind of be conscious of that. And if you do find that, let's quietly say that to ourselves. And then we can always have a quiet conversation with Elisa. And she's got some friends over there in chem, and we can kind of push them into the right direction. Okay, but we're all working in the same direction, which is student success. So we want to make sure that not only ourselves in the School of Nursing, but hopefully our other colleagues across the campus are using these tools as well. Okay. Same thing with your inbox. If you have students communicating with you through inbox and Canvas, I would nip that in the rear as quick as you can. Push them towards Outlook, reply in Outlook, tell them to only reply in Outlook. Say it the first day of class, we use Outlook. You'll still have students who come in here and send message every once in a while. And ideally, your notifications are set up within your profile that you're getting that in Office 365. But again, it's a totally separate inbox. So you want to make sure we're communicating through email. Okay, we've had a lot of great sessions on Studio. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that because we only have a couple minutes left. But know that if you're making videos, you're providing video material for your students, this is the place to do it inside of your learning management system. Go ahead and look for one of our past recordings on our YouTube channel, and we'll continue to have learning opportunities coming up on Studio, but a really great place for your video content. Let me jump real quick into a live offering here in the School of Nursing. I'm going to jump into my freshman seminar section that's happening here. Chances are, if you're a course coordinator, you're getting all of this stuff ready for the people you're working with, and this has been delivered to you. It might be populated with information. You might need to populate it with information. So you're just going to come up here to edit and put that information in here for yourself. Excuse me. Know that your fall 26 syllabi was delivered with the new template. So make sure you're using that. That has the Dwyer School of Nursing logo at the top. We got rid of the DEI language within that logo. So we want to make sure we're using the correct one there. And you'll also notice at the bottom, it says 2026, 2027 academic year. Okay. I was working just in a course the other day, and I brought up the syllabi. It was the old logo. It said it's a course happening in fall 26 within the information. And then in the footer, it says academic year 2025, 2026. It's past. So you're using a syllabi from the past. Your students will notice that right away. So make sure you're using the correct one in that space. If you have any trouble with that, just reach out. One of the biggest caveats I want to bring to your attention, and we got this email last week, is the change of our attendance tool within these spaces. Okay. You'll notice here on the left-hand side, I have A+ attendance available to me. You'll have to come in here within navigation and take that A+ attendance out of this space. So I can either drag here on the left, or I can click on the 3 dots and click disable. In spring, your courses will be delivered with the correct attendance tool. But here, because we just switched this summer and these were already pushed out to you guys, your wrong attendance tool is in this menu. So I'm going to get rid of my A+ attendance, and I'm going to bring in my Quickly attendance. And I'm just going to hit my yellow save down at the bottom. Quickly attendance now appears in your menu. You will take attendance through Quickly attendance. When your students click on their Canvas page, they'll see Quickly attendance. They take it through Quickly attendance. And it also provides a roving QR code, which is a really great feature. So in our past tool, our A+ attendance, it was one QR code. It stayed the same the whole time. I could take a picture of it and send it to Jamie, and she could calculate her attendance for that day because she now had the QR code. Inside of Quickly attendance, that QR code changes every 3 seconds. So when I sign in, even 3 seconds later, that same person isn't scanning the QR code. That old QR code is going to be invalid and will not provide them with the correct access. So it's another layer that we can have in place to make sure that the people who are actually recording their attendance are actually the people recording their attendance. Okay. And we will have a learning opportunity on Quickly attendance coming up in fall, but it's pretty straightforward. It's an attendance tool. So you can certainly reach out if you're having any trouble, but that is there for you. Okay. We spent a bunch of time on My Widener. We looked at the SON group. We looked at the different resources within the school or the nursing office for our students. We spent some time in Office 365 and talking about the different apps we have in there, knowing that again, Copilot and all of those things are inside of there. We'll continue to have learning opportunities in there, especially on Copilot coming up here in the new academic year. And then we just spent a bunch of time in Canvas looking at these resources. I really appreciate your attendance here and starting smart in the beginning of the semester. Hopefully you came away with some aha moments for yourself. If you didn't, then hopefully you came away with some aha moments for your students, right? Because we know that for some of our students, this is the first time they're seeing any of these things. So we just have to kind of guide them along as it is. Know that I'm obviously always a resource for you in these places, and same thing for your students. They're having trouble, something's not working right, send them my way. Okay, you guys are the subject matter experts. I am not a nurse. My subject matter expert is technology. So when they're having trouble with those things, please send them that way. Let me troubleshoot. Let me meet with them. Let them come to my office. I will walk them through all of those resources and anything they need to work with in order to be successful in this space. Okay.
Andrew, I have one question.
Absolutely, Amira, go right ahead.
For the quickly attendance, what do we do when we have, like, we already put up the code and then we had students who came in late?
Oh, that's a really good question. You can come in and still record their attendance at any time for you. So you're right. When you put up the QR code and that's kind of gone and you have someone walk in 10 minutes later, let me just do my preferences here. Yada, yada, yada. Save settings. So they have either the QR code or the PIN code, but for you, if you're out of that and it's 10 minutes later, whatever it is, you can just come in here by list and you can just toggle on what you need to in that space.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So yeah, kind of in the beginning, right? Those first couple minutes in class, you probably just have the check-in up, the QR codes being displayed, or they're typing in the PIN. Now you've gotten started. Someone decides to stroll in, you come in and you can put in Angelia's attended within that space, even though they weren't able to do it on their own. Now, the one thing I do like here is that it lets you do it for any time. It will look at the different records that have gone past. But if you remember in A+ attendance, it was very hooked on what was in colleague, and you had to add a session every time if you wanted to put something different in. But here, like say you're meeting for a clinical session, or you wanted them to go to something across campus and they were checking in, whatever that is, you can always add that session. They can come into your course, record attendance, even if it's not necessarily that time that that course is sitting down. Right? Maybe you're requiring to go to a TED talk at 7:00 at night. Tell them to go into your thing and record attendance for that session. You can set it up that way.
Okay.
Yeah. Great tool there. We'll continue to learn on that one. Thankfully, the TLT resource does have a bunch of stuff on quickly. So you can just do TLT and teaching and learning technology and get there. If you haven't already, and I ran out of time today, I should have done that, but we got an email last week about Boodlebox, which is a new tool that gives you all of your large language models in one place. It's really kind of mind-blowing. So you think about Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, all the paid versions of that are right here inside a Boodlebox in one place, okay, behind the Widener paywall. So you can come in here, you can say, okay, I'm working with something. I want to work in Claude. I want to work in ChatGPT. I want to work in Gemini. You can choose any of these different large language models to work inside of. Maybe you're just working on generating images. You can come in here and choose any of these different image generation models that are available to you. One of the things that is really mind-blowing, and I think this is one of the reasons we probably went with this as Widener, inside a Boodlebox, they have Boodlebot. And that's AI for AI. So what it does is it looks at your question and your prompt and decides which model is the best to use. So you might ask one prompt and it will ask Claude. And then you ask a different prompt and it will switch to Chat GPT. And then you ask it to make an image and it will go to Nano Banana. So you can think about everything you would have to do and all the things you would have to pay for to do that on your own system. But inside a Boodlebox, you can do that all in one screen and all in one chat.
Where do
And
we
you bet.
find it?
Oh, great question. You can come in here to My Widener and just type in AI.
Okay.
And you'll get right here, launch Boodlebox. And it uses your Widener single sign-on. So you'll see here down at the bottom, I'm signed into my Widener University account. So you come in here, you create your chats. I was messing with headshots the other day. You can see it did a pretty good job. Not bad. Not bad. It started with, let's see, this one here, but I didn't like my comb over. So I had to prompt it to get rid of that comb over. So you come in here and work with, that's off of just this. I just gave it this little piece. And so the image generation things have come a really long way. That's one of the ways I was messing with it. But know that you can come in, any of those things you're doing on large language models, you can come in here within Boodlebox and kind of mess with that.
That's
But know that we
good
will
and
definitely
bad.
have opportunities on that.
Andrew, does
And
that mean we don't have to exclusively be using Copilot? Because I thought we had to be using Copilot.
That is exactly what that means.
All right.
You now have both of those things at your disposal. Copilot is still there. All of the features are still there. The one thing that has been dialed back is you'll notice that all of the Office applications don't have the Copilot in the top right-hand corner anymore. So that has been dialed back on campus. I can't necessarily open Excel and then open Copilot in Excel. I can go to Copilot and upload my Excel document, but that plugin has been dialed back a little bit. So that's one privilege that we've lost a little bit of. But no, now you have Copilot as what they describe as your Office 365 AI assistant. So that exists there. But then you also have every other large language model at your disposal inside of Boodlebot. And behind a Widener paywall. So you can use it just like a paid user, just like you were using Copilot.
so Andrew,
Yes.
a couple of questions.
Sure.
One, is this licensed so it's not putting our stuff out there in AI world?
Correct. Yes, it is not storing anything to better the model.
Okay. And then the second thing is, do we have, like, if we want to do images or something, do we have unlimited or does it?
Yes.
Okay. And then
Yes.
the third thing is when we use Copilot inside our like Microsoft Office, like if we're doing an email document, we have to do it as an add-on. Like sometimes if your wording is like, oh, this doesn't make sense.
Yes. Yes. And it's weird because you'll notice here I'm just in the Copilot application.
Right.
Here in my mail, I still get Copilot. So I
Okay.
can still say, summarize this. Tell me what's going. I never use it that way, but it's there.
Oh, okay.
It
I don't even
used
think I've ever seen that in mine.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
know it's,
haven't.
and that's the thing. As I talk to different, I say that, but as I talk to different users, I'm like, I don't have that.
Oh
I
yeah, I
haven't
don't have
seen
that.
that. So just be conscious of that. There's a couple different things floating out there when it comes to that. But if you're going to use Copilot these days, chances are you probably have to come to the waffle and click on
Hmm.
Copilot and then open that within their window and get all those other pieces.
And then my last question, which has nothing to do with this,
Okay.
is your test form. What do you
Yeah.
want us to do for our proctor? Just put it under the ATI for our proctor benchmark. Just use ATI.
Yeah. The ATIs. Oh man, I should really get the ATI off of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all going to the point. So we're not even using the other end of ExamSoft this semester. I'm still learning that. I'm still a little bit on the outside there. So
So
we're
you
going to
just want us to use the current form.
use the current form and put it in just like we were going to use what we used last semester. Because
Okay.
I truly don't even know how to make those other CJEs available to you in the point. I still need to learn how to use the point for the clinical judgment side of things. We'll still be
Okay.
using regular ExamSoft for your regular exams, but we are no longer utilizing ExamSoft Enterprise for your clinical judgment exams.
All right. So I just use the ATI slot for the proctor
Yep.
benchmark as a place mark, and then you'll let
Yep.
us know when we switch over. Okay, cool.
Yep. 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 Okay. Anything else that I can answer, we want to talk about? I really appreciate your time. I know we went over 2 o'clock today, so thanks for hanging around. Some really good questions at the end. It gave us a little bit of time to look at Boodlebox too, so that's good. A great thing about the Boodlebox too is originally it was only supposed to be coming out for staff and faculty, but they said, no, we're going to give it to everyone. So your students have Boodlebox as well. So as you're having those AI conversations and we talk about, are we AIing in or are we AIing out with our assignments? You have that resource there for you. And as you kind of come across those conversations, great resource for your students to be looking at. Okay. It's amazing. It's always changing.
I know it's a little scary too
I know
sometimes. 'Cause
it's a little scary
sometimes I don't
sometimes.
think they put effort in assignments, and I'm like, you know, you didn't write this.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, a lot, and that's true. A lot of the pushback I've heard from the writing side is to have them submit a recording of them writing. So as they're actually writing, doing a screen share of their Word document and providing that as a artifact that they completed the assignment authentically themselves. I know that's a whole nother thing, but that's been the most popular thing that I've heard amongst others of how do we make sure they're actually writing what they're writing. And it's to, get another artifact. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Mm,
Yeah. A lot of
thank
great things inside of the AI tools on Boodlebox too. As you can imagine, we'll have some good professional developments coming up on Boodlebox within the School of Nursing because there's a lot of great stuff in here.
mm.
All right. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of talk amongst the learning management systems to try and put something in place that kind of gives you that aha of, hey, this might not necessarily be the user, or hey, this doesn't sound right, or hey, this was pasted from this source. But again, it's the money thing. And how do we know that it's right? Because then all of a sudden you're like, well, this person cheated. You're being dismissed from the university. And we're depending on the technology to be correct there. So we just have to be creative within our assignments. Maybe those first couple writing assignments are occurring in person in class. So you get a good idea of the student's voice and how they write and what that looks like. So then that way, when the written assignment comes through, you can clearly identify that this is nothing like you've written the first 4 times when you were sitting right in front of me. So we just have to we have to be creative there, especially when it comes to the writing stuff. All right.
I need a separate appointment with you for this because I got to figure out how
No
students,
problem.
they drive me crazy with this appointment thing.
Oh yeah, let's look at
Schedule
appointments.
with me, so I'll email you on the side.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of different ways we can do that. You can use the scheduler inside of Canvas, or you can use the bookings inside of Office 365, or you can use any other tool. The
I've
scheduler
used
inside of
about 3,
Canvas
and I'm not happy with any of them.
oh man. Well, we'll have to make our way through the weeds then there, Bundy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Appreciate your
Thank
time. Holler if I
you.
can help you with anything. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.